There is a saying we have, damned if you do and damned if you don't. I think we've got to be very, very careful that we don't end up lambasting the freest and most generous countries.
You're about to watch Douglas Murray address an accusation thrown against Europe, and by extension, white people, that what they do for Africa boils down to a white saviour complex.
What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl and Nafia Scarlett. Today I'm back against another video from Douglas Murray. So today, Douglas Murray shut up Muslim girl and dismantled her case in a heated immigration debate. Okay, so guys, without further ado, let's get started.
There is a saying we have, damned if you do and damned if you don't. I think we've got to be very, very careful that we don't end up lambasting the freest and most generous countries.
You're about to watch Douglas Murray address an accusation thrown against Europe, and by extension, white people, that what they do for Africa boils down to a white saviour complex. Now that's pretty shocking, isn't it? In a debate that happened years ago in Doha, the floor was opened for the audience to ask questions. One of them, a Muslim lady named Asma from Kenya, turned to Douglas and said,
"And do you think it's judicious for these people in Britain, for example, you talked about how Britain is giving aid to these countries in Africa, it's judicious for them to give this much money to these countries but without even listening to their needs? So this only contributes to the white saviour complex that is currently a big issue in..."
Before we get into Douglas's epic response, let me quickly jump in and define what white saviour complex means, seeing that's an epithet that's being thrown around a lot these days. The term refers to white people helping black people only to look like white saviours. The suggestion is that the helper only wants to feel good about his good deeds and does not care about the person whom he is assisting at all. Now, here is how Douglas responded to this sort of accusation. He, straight up, wasn't having any of it.
Well, there is a saying we have, damned if you do and damned if you don't. If it's the case that if we don't give aid, we'd be accused of not giving aid, and if we do give aid, it's a white saviour complex.
But then, Douglas conceded to one thing.
We can all give aid better, for sure, and I just gave, in my opening remarks, what I think was a serious suggestion for one very good use of aid, which is to prioritize it in the region and in the neighboring countries of places people are fleeing from. But I mean, as I say, I would refuse as well to see the multifarious problems that exist in your own home country and sadly across the continent of Africa.
Back to Douglas in a sec. Why was the lady so quick to point fingers at Europe's magnanimity for the myriads of problems plaguing her country, and by extension, the continent of Africa? Are we to be blamed for the current political instabilities, bad governments and tribal wars happening in these places? Before we proceed, kindly hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more videos on Douglas Murray's provocative debates. Next, another person in the audience claims that the main reason migrants are moving to Europe is because wealth is moving out of the developing world in form of debt repayment to the developed world. Here's how Douglas responded to that.
No, I don't. Again, I repeat the fact there are no simple answers. And if it was simply the fact that you could, I don't know, do a debt default or something and solve the whole migration issue, then that would be great. But it just isn't the case.
Now watch as Douglas hits the nail at the head with these rhetorical questions.
You think that if for instance, all African countries were allowed to default on debt, that they'd become burgeoning, flourishing societies? You think that the problem across, for instance, sub-Saharan Africa isn't just unbelievable greed and theft by politician after politician? You think...
There you have it. But Douglas wasn't quite done.
You think that if you just wrote off the debt, that would stop being an issue and everyone would become transparent and clean in their dealings with money? I mean, the problems are much deeper than this. They're much deeper than just a simple solution like that.
Granted, historically, Europe colonized foreign countries for reasons ranging from persecution in their own countries to the search for riches and economic benefits. But then, it is really easy to simplify and accept biased information instead of being open-minded. It's quite untrue to believe that European countries were the only ones to conquer and colonize others. Every region has done similar atrocities against others, if you go back in time far enough. But that's by the way. Now, one of the debaters sitting across from Douglas, another anti-Europe activist, made a point which drew a resounding applause from the crowd.
We call brown people migrants. We call white people who go abroad to work expats. This is really important. Right.
However, Douglas, as if he had prepared ahead of time for her point, gave a response that was both fitting and truthful.
Firstly, by the way, migrants versus expats, there's a very clear reason. It's expected, rightly or wrongly, that expats don't stay in the country and bring up their families and stay for generations. The assumption with migrants is, currently has been in recent generations, that they are going to stay and that it's going to be a multi-generational thing.
Personally, I think calling these people refugees is according them respect that they do not deserve. In reality, most of them are actually callous invaders. Whereas some refugees may intend to leave for home as soon as possible, invaders intend to stay and take over. So the present group of refugees certainly belongs to the latter, and hopes of integration are misplaced since they won't, as we can see in the Turks in Germany and the Maghreb refugees in France. No multicultural society in history ever survived for long, and typically ended up with one group massacring the other, as the most recent example of Hutus and Tutsis in Rwanda showed us. To expect otherwise is sheer arrogance or simply insanity. Next, Douglas turns to everyone on stage, throwing shade at Europeans, and asks a question that leaves the whole audience speechless.
I think we've got to be very, very careful that we don't end up lambasting the freest and most generous countries. And I would just urge, as a call to, as it were, moral caution on this, urge you in this room and people watching, how many people have you made citizens of Qatar from Syria? How many? Okay.
You could have heard a pin drop in the room. Now, the truth of the matter is that Europeans are pacifists. We are, generally speaking, liberals in our thinking. This is why we assume that everyone is as kind, respectful and educated as we are, because we all have our heads in the sand and can't face the reality that we opened our borders to our enemies. I mean, the same people from the East and South we give money to actually hate us and our culture. I mean, let's face it. Islam hates Western liberal culture. They consider the West degenerate and pornographic, but it's too late to stop them from coming since they are already here. Worse still, many of them now have voting rights. That's game over. Now, guys, it's high time we all stood up and demand a change. What are your thoughts on this? Should Europe continue to accept so many refugees? Let us know what you think in the comments section.
Let us know what you think in the comment section. Should Europe go ahead and keep helping the neighboring countries, keep helping Africa, keep helping, those Islamic countries, the refugees? Secondly, should Europe go ahead and keep accepting refugees in their countries? Let's know your answer in the comment section. This is educative, it's sad, and we need to talk about it. So guys, this is not about only me talking, it's about us talking. Let's know what you actually think. Let's know what you actually think about this. Douglas Murray made the statements. I love it. It's just running through my mind like he said, if you if we don't help, give aid to others, to say, oh, Europeans, they came to take our gold, they came to take our salt, they came to take everything away from us, and yet we ask them for help. They are not, giving a helping hand to us. And if we help too, they are saying white savior. They are playing a white savior game on Africans. What do you think? What should they do? Should they stop or should they continue? If they continue, we will call them, they are playing the white savior game. What should they do? See, it's not their fault that Africa is suffering. Let me tell you, it's not their fault that there is war everywhere. It's not their fault that refugees are trooping in and out everywhere. Let me say, what someone might say, hey, please, why you are African? Why are you saying that it's not their fault Africa is poor? They came to pick our gold. Yes, indeed. That was how many years ago? How many years? Yes, indeed. The white, let me specifically, Europeans came to Africa. Even my country, they came all over Africa. For colonizations. They came, they pick our gold, human slavery, they took our people. They carry everything that we hold high, everything that was important, just to make their country rich, just to make their continent rich. Let me put this per se. But that was how many years ago? How many years ago? If assuming Africa picked up we pick up those pieces, rebuilt Africa, by now, yes, we would have been the richest. Because if you talk about gold, even let me say Ghana, has so many gold, bauxite, timbers, you know. If you talk about natural resources, even though they came, why no did you even ask yourself why did they even came? Why did they even come to Africa? Because they saw some potentials there, they saw some riches there. Let me tell you, Africa is rich. Because Africa is rich. When you talk about the natural resources, Africa is natural resourcely rich, that even though the Europeans came, conquered, took it away, but yet they didn't take that land away. They didn't take Africa, the dignity away. They just took those gold, they took it away. But yet, still, we still have the gold. If we want to make it, if we want to do it, we would have done it. So, my dear, it's not Europeans' fault Africa is poor. It's not European fault that there is war everywhere. So, if they are rendering the help, just let's receive it. They can decide not to help, and they are not to be blamed for that. You know, because even you, let me tell you, even you, if your parents send you to school, and yeah, you get some place to be, you get some money in your pocket, and you decide, it's not by force, no one will come and kill you if you don't send your mom money. You decide to look back and take care of your family. You decide to send your pops money every month, or you decide to go and build that house in the village for your parents. It's not by force. Like, you get me. So let's enough of me making the whites or the Europeans feel like, yeah, they they they, they murdered us. Have you seen Rwanda? It's an African country, but go and see, they are doing so well for themselves. They have good politicians, like they have good governance. you know Assuming this European came to Africa, picked everything they picked, and they went and they didn't make use of it. They didn't build their country. By now, Europe will not be Europe as it is now. So if Africa, we are just focusing on ourselves, build our continent, build each country with good politicians, with good governance, with the natural resources we have, we are building it and build it well. I think we will not even expect these Europeans to come and aid us, to come and give us that help we are crying for. If we are talking about who is killing us, it's our governance. So a better we pick up the pieces, we use the little we have to build our own continent. And if the help also comes, we should accept it. Because yeah, that's why they are there. If they want to help us, we should accept it. We shouldn't let pride come and say, hey, they're playing white savior. Let them save us. We need it. Let them give it to us. They should open their borders for us to travel inside. If they are bringing the money, the resources, see, I mean, what? Can we even go back to what the question the lady asked? The lady said, why is it that the Europeans keep on bringing money in the name of helping Africa, but they don't actually access what we actually need? Okay, someone is helping you. You want them to get time. You want them to get time to ask you what you need. They are helping you use that resources to build what you actually need. If they bring money and they think it's good that you want, why don't you invest that money into schools? If they bring that money, if they bring those things, why don't you just find ways to build with the little they brought? Hey, this is what we call beggar has a choice. This is what we call beggar that has a choice. Someone is helping your life, or you are saying you are helping us, or you people are helping us. Why are you not asking us what exactly we need, when it doesn't even make sense? God, I beg. This is crazy. In as much as I know it's a serious matter, but to think of it, if you really pay attention at this word, like, it's kind of crazy for someone to just stand up and But then let me know what you actually think about this video. You think indeed the lady was right about the question, or you think this is the craziest video you've ever seen? Let me know in the comment section. If you did enjoy this video with me, don't forget to give your girl a thumbs up. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Don't forget to click on the subscription button for more notifications. Thanks for watching.